Are you a woman? And if you answered yes, let me ask you another question. Are you a biological woman, or did you assimilate into women's spaces? If you answered yes to the latter, then I'm sure you're wondering, why does that even matter, right? Well, as a biological woman myself, to me, it matters a lot more than people are willing to admit. In this video, I want to explore why it seems that there's some kind of tension here lately between biological women and trans women. But before we get into that, go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and turn on that notification bell so that you can be notified of future videos just like this. Now let's get into it. So, I was browsing through TikTok as one does at 3 a.m. You know, nothing out of the ordinary. I saw that there was a lot of videos coming up on my FYP, and that's the For You page for those of you who aren't familiar with TikTok. Now, there's been a lot of discourse surrounding trans women in sports. Now, I think we can all agree that women have had to fight since their existence to have their own space, right? And one of those spaces that we've had to fight for is the sports community. For a long time, there wasn't any type of women's sports teams. Women couldn't play sports at all, actually. And I think the conversation between trans women entering women's sports is a discussion that needs to be had. So let's take a look at this video.
I think the research shows that trans women do happen to have a biological advantage against biological women. Even though you are taking hormones, and that does start to change your body and level things out. We're talking about primarily people who have transitioned post-puberty, which means they do have male bone density, male wingspan, male hand size, feet size, lung capacity. All of these things are going against women, biological women, when trans women start to enter their spaces, their sports, and compete against them.
Can you throw out some statistics?
There's an abundance of research. There's even trans activists who agree with exactly what I'm saying. Your hormones can change, right? Even she just spoke to the fact that her bone density did not change in going on hormones.
So if you can't throw out the statistics, we're not doing enough of the work.
Can you produce statistics about the bone density of biological men and how it changes upon being on hormones and whether or not it levels out to biological women?
I actually cannot, because when I would think of those statistics, I would think it was BS.
Okay, those women were not able to give out statistics, but let's take it straight to Google, okay? And we're going to try to find a credible source to give out these statistics as to whether or not trans women have an advantage over biological women when it comes to the sports industry. So I'm going to get on my trusty Googler, okay? Look, the first question that pops up when I enter in trans women sports, the first question that comes up is, do trans women have an advantage in sports? Let's take note of that. Okay, where is this? This was published July 26, 2022, and this is a government website, okay? In the domain, it says .gov, so I think it's fair to say that this would be more trusted site versus, let's say, Wikipedia, right? Okay. So according to this, male physiology cannot be reformatted into female physiology by estrogen therapy. It goes on further to say, in strength-related sports, world records can differ by 10 to 30% between males and females. As such, to ensure a fair playing field in the female division, a transgender woman athlete should not retain any advantage from her prior testosterone-driven physiology. Male physiology cannot be reformatted to female physiology simply by gender-affirming estradiol therapy and a transgender woman training at a high-performance level. Then, if you go down further into 3.1 on this website, it says, hormone therapy alone has met limited success in suppressing testosterone levels, with many transgender women failing to achieve the desired level. In recent studies of transgender women, a quartile failed to achieve any significant suppression and 1/3 failed to suppress testosterone levels despite achieving desired estradiol levels. It further goes on to state that estrogen therapy does not reformat male-like brain network. So do with that last bit of information as you will. But I think it's safe to say that the statistics are there and numbers don't lie. So if even this government website, right, because you have to go through some channels to be a .gov website. I think we can all agree with that. So if the numbers are showing that transgender women do have an advantage, I, for the life of me, do not understand why trans women want to infiltrate women's spaces. When women had to fight to have these particular spaces, why would you want to come in and infiltrate infiltrate. Women didn't come out and say initially that they wanted to play sports with men. No, we want our own space to play with like individuals, right? So yes, you may feel like a woman, but at the end of the day, you cannot change your physiology. Physically cannot. The numbers right there, the facts, they don't lie. The only solution then would be to create a trans division of sports. I mean, I don't understand why it's such a big deal to want to play against women unless you want to have and utilize your privilege of your unfair advantage. And that to me is not being someone who's actually for women. To me, that seems like you're trying to abuse your said power. And in my own personal opinion, I think that boils down to having a male ego. I think that by all means, if you feel like you are a woman, I can respect that. As a woman myself, I can respect how anybody wants to identify. The nurturing nature in me is to love everyone. Any human life I love, okay? Just any life, period, okay? I love plants, I like animals, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can respect life. So do what you want to do with yours as you see fit. I think it's also fair to say that if I can respect you, you should be able to respect me. And not saying me specifically, I'm talking about me as a biological woman. To a trans woman, you have to be able to respect that space. Otherwise, you aren't really for a woman, you're just for yourself. And to me, sounds a lot like a man, okay? Big ego. We all know men to have big egos. And to have ego isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, I think in this case, it just is being used to a disadvantage towards biological women. We can also flip this on the other side and speak about trans men and men's sports. Biological men are going to also have an upper hand when it comes to strength in sports. Their wingspan is going to be bigger, you know? That's going to give them an advantage over physically, biologically born woman who transitioned into being a man, okay? There's not enough hormone therapy that is going to make her into a man. So now, that's just from the sports aspect of things, right? We can also talk about trans women and periods on the internet. And this is a very nuanced conversation, I will say. If you are new to this discussion about trans women and periods, let's check out this video right here. And then, you know, of course I got you and I'm gonna give my commentary.
I did a brand deal for tampons. This was 2020, and this is me dancing around. That's a major national brand paid me to make this ad for them on social media. And I wanted to say two things about it. I'm sure you've seen the hate that Dylan's gotten. Please find this video of Dylan's and watch it. Dylan is an angel, important, intelligent, someone I care about.
So let me pause them right there. I'm gonna try to be respectful in this video and refer to people as how they choose to identify instead of being rude, because once again, I respect humans, so I'm going to give the respect that I expect to receive in return. We'll go deeper into that as we go along in this video, trust me. Dylan, if you do not know, Dylan made a video about tampons and it just kind of blew up on the internet. You can go ahead and research that one yourself if you want. Just type in Dylan tampons on TikTok and I'm sure it'll pop up for you. But this was the video that was in response to that backlash, as well as the backlash that this creator was getting because they got a brand deal for tampons. Let's go for it. Let's finish.
Not very much. And I made the video for two reasons. So that women would feel less stigmatized, so that people who menstruate would feel less stigmatized, because to cis men, let's face it, menstruation is seen as gross, disgusting, a joke, and as someone who does not menstruate, I'm non-binary, I don't menstruate, I wanted to help end that stigma if I could. And I also, you notice I don't do a lot of brand deals. I did this one because I wanted trans people to feel better and not have, you know, trans men who menstruate and non-binary people who menstruate to not feel double stigmatized around menstruation and being trans. And then the hate came for me. And I want to say something to the ladies of Twitter especially. We should be working together to undermine the patriarchy. We are not your enemy. the more you fight for your box, the more you are fighting for a hierarchy of one box over the other. We don't want to take womanhood from you. We don't want to tell you what to do. But I know as a non-binary person, the more you police your gender role, the more you are policing the idea that one gender role is the best. It gives me a lot of emotion to talk about because I am a feminist and I will keep fighting for your rights, even if you hate me to my core, because women are not second-class citizens. If I could have anything, it would be that people just don't hate themselves as much. And I'll continue to do that no matter what happens from here.
Okay, let's break that down, all right? Because they said a lot, but also didn't say anything at all. First, I want to start off by talking about how this person said there's a stigma around having a period. I don't know about you, but from a biological woman's standpoint, what stigma are you talking about? Because I've even had conversations about my period, like with my dad, like with friends, my guy friends, obviously with other women. So I don't know what stigma you're talking about. Maybe that's your experience and that is valid. I can't invalidate that experience. However, if you're a biological woman, you know, leave a comment down below and let me know if you feel like there is some kind of stigma around having a period. I know a lot of times men will rather choose not to talk about it, but as far as an actual stigma, you know what? Now let's look up the definition of stigma, because I want to make sure that I'm being very politically correct in this here video. We're getting on our Googler yet again, okay? Because we like facts on this channel, right? Stigma definition. So stigma is defined as a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. Now, that's a very harsh definition, because when you talk about something being disgraced, so you feel like periods are disgraced, I don't think so. Comment down below. Am I tripping? Because at what point was a period ever considered disgraceful? If anything, it signifies that a woman has, you know, entered into her womanhood journey. Oh my gosh, this airplane. There's a hospital nearby, so there's always going to be some type of something going on around here, okay? I think the more concerning aspect of this person's video, for me anyway, is the fact that a tampon company gave a non-binary person a tampon deal. Now, I'm all for inclusion, right? However, I also don't want to say that this person should have given up their opportunity, but just maybe this brand deal could have included an actual person with a uterus to incorporate into this brand deal so that it didn't come off as performative. Because to me, that's what it seems like. It just seems like this tampon company is trying to be performative, because what was the reason in my Cardi B voice? This doesn't even make the slightest bit of sense. I think that's really the root of why biological women are kind of in an uproar over this particular situation, because you've got actual people who don't even have access to feminine care products, and you're choosing to be performative and give money and product to a non-binary person who cannot benefit from your products. To me, again, it just seems performative, and I don't like that. Like, that just seems so uncool. Like, that's just not cool at all. You feel me? So when we go into talking about non-binary people and if they can and cannot benefit from these products, I think this next video will show you exactly why a lot of biological women are in an uproar about the situation.
Day 12 of being a girl, and we're gonna go buy tampons. Let's go.
Where are they even at?
What the?
I don't know, which one should I get?
At the Tampax Pearl, I think these are like little dots to see how much you flow, is what somebody said online. I don't know, let's do an unboxing. It literally has instructions. Okay, this is a tampon. This thing does not go up inside you. Like, where does that go?
Where does it go then?
Oh my god, what the hell?
Sorry.
Okay, so it says you push the plunger up and out comes the baby. Kidding. That just hangs out inside you? How does it, how do you get it out? Is that what this thing's for? Oh, it comes open. Oh, do you like, oh, where does the string go? I bought tampons because I've never bought them before. If you need one, love you.
First of all, let's just go back to, you know, the panorama, okay? When there were literally no stock of any kind of feminine hygiene product. Thank goodness for me, I use a cup, okay? I use a menstruation cup, so I didn't have those problems where y'all was scrounging around trying to find pads and tampons. That wasn't me. First of all, you bought some products that you don't even need, okay? And I know they said that, you know, they're gonna share it with their friends, or, you know, if somebody needs it. First of all, I don't know what person other than your friends are gonna ask you for a tampon, because I know myself, if I'm in the bathroom and let's say my period starts, I'm not asking nobody for a freaking tampon. You know what us women, you know what we do? We get a whole bunch of freaking toilet paper, we roll that thing up, stick it down there, and rush to get home, okay? That's what we do. Or rush to the nearest Target to buy our own. But let's say we try to do that and now we can't because you went ahead and just bought some tampons for no freaking reason. It's just weird. And this is again coming off as very performative. And I think, you know, this person obviously is a creator, right? So they, you know, consume products to film content. I get that. I can get that from that perspective. Yes, we're all as women collectively, whether you're trans, non-binary, or biologically born a woman, we're all trying to dismantle this patriarchy, but I think we all need to also understand how to respect one another. At the end of the day, that is what this is boiling down to, okay? You have to be able to respect one another. Respect people's spaces. You don't just, like, I would never come into somebody's home and like start rearranging things, okay? Fixing it the way that I want it to be. No, you don't do that. So why would you think that it's okay to come into women's spaces and mock kind of where they're living? Especially a place that they had to fight to get. Like it just mind blown, okay? I just would expect a lot more from humans. I understand that's a lot to put on humans, but I think that we as a society, like, we just gotta do better. But then there's also the conversation being had about, do trans women actually get periods? And this next creator is going to kind of let us know how they feel about it.
If you asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have said yes. I would say yes, I do get a period as a transgender woman. But now that I've matured more and my brain has developed more, I've realized the answer is simply no. No, trans women do not get periods, babe. But let me explain why I used to think that I did have a period. So basically, many trans women, myself included, do hormone replacement therapy. So I take estrogen, which is the female hormone, on a daily basis. And we take estrogen for the side effects. You know, it gives you more breast tissue, more fat in your face. We take it for the feminizing side effects. And since we take all these female hormones, it kind of tricks our bodies into thinking that we have a female reproductive system when we don't. So with this, a lot of trans women will also get period-like side effects from the hormones. So you might get mood swings or appetite changes or abdominal cramps sometimes. And I used to see that as like my period, you know, when my hormones were out of whack. But really, it's just like a hormonal imbalance from the hormones, of course. And I don't know, I was just really at a point in my life that I just so desperately wish that I was born female that calling it my period just like felt so affirming and felt so euphoric for me. But over these past few years, I've really come to terms with the fact that, babe, I'm trans. It's okay. I'm fucking trans. And really just ever since I've come to terms with the fact that as a trans woman, there are just certain things that I will never be able to do. And coming to terms with the fact that I was not born female, like my mental health has improved so much. Like that's just the way it is. And I've accepted that. Oh, and another thing that helped change my perspective on this is getting bottom surgery. So I had a sex reassignment surgery. I have a vajayjay, but I do not have a uterus or ovaries. So I don't menstruate. I don't bleed, obviously. Like, babe, ever since having the surgery, I've just realized how high maintenance it is to have a cooter cat. Like, Anyone who is not born female, you do not realize how easy you have it, babe. Like, it is so high maintenance. And I just can't imagine having like uterine cramps and bleeding like on top of all the shit that I already have to do with her. And I've heard all the horror stories of people who deal with like severe PCOS and all that stuff. So like, to everyone who's born female and who does have to deal with that, kudos to you, bitch, because even my custom cooter cat be wearing me out sometimes. So yeah, I just wish everyone would stop arguing about this on the internet. To all my trans girls out there who are so adamant about having a period, I hope one day y'all realize that it's just simply not the truth. And it's okay. It's okay to realize that and to accept who we are. It's part of the trans experience. We're still women. Thanks for watching.
All right, so as you can see from a trans woman herself, she has stated that, hey, trans women, y'all don't get periods, okay? And I've had somebody I worked with, I'm not sure that they identify as non-binary. I'm pretty sure they still accepted their assigned pronouns at birth. He definitely would say like, oh my gosh, I'm on my period. I'm cramping so bad. Now, I don't know if this person was actually on like hormone therapy, but I mean, at the time, I didn't even like bother to comment. To me, it just never sat well because it's not a period. Like, the term period is synonymous with menstruation according to the dictionary, so technically it's not a period, right? Like this woman said, you know, and so eloquently said, by the way, too. Shout out to this creator. If this is just how you naturally feel, like this is you should not have to try this hard. All of this is just performative behaviors, and it just is wild to me that it's gotten this far because it's getting out of hand, you know? Even this trans woman herself says that you don't get periods. But let me know how you feel about this topic. Do you feel like trans women do get periods, or do you feel like, no, this is just some crazy performative behaviors? I have asked questions to my gay friends and trans friends. I have asked questions about things that they've done to their bodies and how that works. It is definitely a lot to have a custom cooter cat, as she says in that video. So yeah, I couldn't understand what you go through, but I think that's the beauty of us being human, is that we all have our own unique experiences, and one experience does not mean that it's better than the next. So we all have to find a way to be able to kind of come together and respect one another. So with that being said, let's talk about something that this woman said in her video. She referred to biological women as cisgender. A lot of women on social media are putting their foot down and they are like, hey, I am not a cis anything. Don't call me sis. I'm not your sister. Myself included, I'm nobody's sis. I am just a woman.
Why do y'all do this? Like, help me understand why the word cisgender pisses y'all off so much.
Sure, I'll let you know. For the same reason when someone wants to identify as she, her, them, they, we, us, ours, their boundaries are respected, we're asking for the same thing.
Like the term cis, a lot of biological women are not here for it. Actually, a lot of biological women aren't here for a lot of the terms. We hear terms like chest feeder, because you can't say breastfeeder anymore. We hear terms like birthing persons. You know, there needs to be some kind of discussion had about these terms. So let's check out this next video.
If you're a woman and you agree with any of the things that I'm about to show you, please watch the full video.
I've seen people talk about how we can't say feminine products anymore. We shouldn't say feminine products anymore. It's not a pregnant mom, it's a birthing person. It's not breastfeeding, it's chest feeding. Oh, we're trying to be inclusive to all these other people. I feel like womanhood is being washed away.
Let me start by saying, hi, my name is Zaya. I'm a 20-year-old transgender woman, and recently I've been seeing a lot of discourse between trans and cis women, and I just want to add my 2 cents. So please hear me out. Transgender women are not a threat to womanhood, like whatsoever. Let me explain.
So I had to stop her right there because I just realized, looking at the ceiling, like the background, this is the same woman from the last video. She says her name is Zaya. She looks so different without the braids in her hair. Okay, come on. We love to see a little switch up, okay? I'm known for the switch up, so I'm here for this. Yes, I love this look. Let's let her finish though.
The reason you've been seeing an increase of trans inclusive language is because currently right now, Trans people's lives are at risk. Like, did you know there have already been over 200 anti-trans bills introduced in the US this year? And Donald Trump said that if he wins the presidency in 2024, he will make it a key point to ban anyone from transitioning at any age. And unfortunately, this means if we don't do or say anything, we are looking at trans genocide in the future of the United States. The reason you've been seeing more trans inclusive language in the media is to remind people that trans people exist, and we have always existed, and we're not going anywhere. When it comes to inclusive language like birthing person or chest feeding, nobody is forcing you to use those terms. In fact, most people don't use those terms at all. Terms such as birthing person and chest feeding, those are there for people like trans men or non-binary people who just want to feel included. If you're a pregnant woman and you want to be called a mother or you want to call it breastfeeding, go ahead. Nobody is stopping you, like, as you should. Most people use those terms anyways still. It's just that some people do not, and that's okay to acknowledge. The people that you see saying that you have to use inclusive language or you can't use the word mother are usually chronically online or just trolls. Like, most people do not think that way. The internet is just making y'all feel like this is more of an issue than it actually is. Also, most trans women fully realize that the trans experience is way different than the experience of someone who was born female. I realize that I will never understand what it's like to grow up as a woman. I will never understand what it's like to menstruate or to be pregnant. But at the same time, cis women will never know what it's like to be trans, to experience gender dysphoria. Personally, my dysphoria was so bad that I did full hormone replacement therapy and I got sex reassignment surgery. And I didn't do any of that to replace anyone or to mock anyone. I did that because I'm a woman and I just wanted to be comfortable in my body, and I finally am. I can guarantee you 99.9% of trans people just want to live our lives peacefully. There should not be this war between cis and trans. Really, instead of fighting against each other, we should be fighting with each other. With all the anti-trans bills, the reversal of Roe versus Wade, it's clear the government wants full control of women. Trans or cis, it doesn't matter. We just need to put our differences aside and realize we're not each other's enemy. The patriarchy is the enemy.
Such a well-articulated woman. Love that. And what she said, she was only 22, I think she said. Love that for her. And I think what she says is facts. You know, these terms out there are meant to be used by those who choose to use them. I think that's something that a lot of us biological women are missing, is that nobody can force you to do anything. And like she said, if these people are trying to force you to use these terms, they're probably chronically online, like she said, and you know, they just are trolls, essentially. They want to get that reaction out of you. It feeds their ego, and we should never give anybody that kind of satisfaction over our emotions. Like, nobody should have control over your emotions except for you. If you don't want to use these terms out here, you don't have to. How does the saying go? If it doesn't apply, let it fly. And I think any decent human can agree that I can respect you and your experience. And that doesn't mean that your experience is more valid than mine or that mine is more valid than yours. You should respect other people, whether they are trans, non-binary, biologically, whatever. You should respect that. Biological women also should be aware of, if somebody online is speaking about a collective, they have the right to use the term cis. Again, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. If I see somebody online, like how I came across even these videos, if I see them calling me cis, I'm not gonna get in the comments and be like, don't call me cis. They didn't particularly address something to me. Now, if one of these creators chose to respond to my video and call me a cisgendered woman, then yes, I would have the right to correct them and be like, hey, I would prefer for you to just call me a woman. Do not call me a cis woman. But how I feel, I cannot project that onto other people. This society nowadays, like, we are all so freaking sensitive, and it just, as a millennial who grew up in a time, I grew up in the 90s, y'all, okay? So this is a lot to take in, okay? If you're a millennial, you know, like, times were totally different back then in the 90s, okay? And I am trying to adjust and, you know, be more aware of the terms and the things that I say and do. But at the same time, I'm also not sensitive to a lot of the stuff that other people say and do. It's hard in society right now trying to find that balance. You feel me? We've heard a lot from a lot of trans women in this video. Let's hear from some trans men, because, you know, I feel like like the trans men out here, they be real quiet on social media, okay? Trans men just be minding their own damn business, okay? I don't know what they be doing, who they be doing, what they be doing it with, but they just be doing them. Honestly, I love that.
The issue is when somebody asks not to be called something, that's the end of the discussion.
I feel what you're saying, and under most circumstances, I would absolutely agree with that. But this is different. The reason why people like to denounce the term cisgender, because they want to maintain their rank as standard. To me, it's the same thing as white people being referred to simply as Americans, while everybody else has to preface their status as American, African American, Asian American. It's like a way of saying, you're a guest here, I belong here. And the reason why I know that that's the case is because
I had to stop them real quick because no. First of all, white people are definitely not referred to as just American. When they check their boxes on their little Scantrons in school, guess what? They choose Caucasian, okay? They get referred to as being from the Caucasus Mountains, okay? Yeah, invalid.
typically when people get upset when you call them cis, they say they aren't cis, but then they go on to describe themselves as cis. Oh, I was born as a female and that's what I am. Oh, I was born as a male and that's what I am. The literal definition of cis. It's literally a microaggression.
Like what? Let's keep it a buck, okay? No, it does not matter how you feel. First of all, the term cis, let's just back it all the way up, okay? Because the term cis was created in chemistry to talk about atoms. That's where the term cis comes from. This comes from chemistry, atoms that change their chemistry makeup. And a human genius decided that they were going to use that term in reference to people. So you literally had somebody who decided to create something out of nothing. So there really is no, in my opinion, there's no valid argument as to, oh, well, that's actually what a cis person is. It's science, it's science. Like, no, it's not. It's made up science. All of that aside, why can't we just respect how people want to be referred to? It's really that simple. But there's one more trans man that I want us to take a look at. So let's see what they have to say.
All right, so y'all not about to like what I gotta say, but I'm about to say it. So I'm about to call out the trans community on a lot of bullshit. And I'm not coming to you guys as a female to male trans man. I'm coming to you guys as a biological woman, because that's what I am at the end of the day. Yep, I said that.
Oh, wait a minute now, because he kind of cute. Listen, when I first saw this video, I was like, the trans man out here looking every bit of a snack. Hey, boo. Let's see what they got to say, though.
First and foremost, the original intent behind the trans community was to illustrate the difference between sex and gender. Your sex being your biological makeup, and your gender being how you would like to be socially regarded in regards to pronouns like he, him, she, her, they, them, and all the other ones in between. But I'm starting to sense a different tone that's actually been happening within the trans community over the course of like maybe the past 3 to 5 years. And that is the hijacking and ultimately the erasure of the woman. And so now I, as a trans man / biological woman, have to come up and come out of my identity and go back to my biology and say, hey, y'all need to goddamn motherfucking stop. Because there's this thing where we want to kind of broaden out what it means to be a woman and say, oh, well, they're birthing persons, or they're people who menstruate, or they're breastfeeding persons, and all this bullshit that I just can't stand with. Because at this point, we're trying to erase the biology behind what it means to be a woman. And that's not what we're about to do. I'm not about to do it with y'all. And I get it. Y'all want to do it for the sake of inclusion, but no, that's not inclusive. That's called erasure. That's literally erasing an entire gender and what it means to be that specific gender from a biological standpoint. And I thought that that's the very thing we were trying to separate when it pertains to gender, was the biology. But it appears that we're just trying to erase it. You're trying to erase the biology, and that's what we're not about to do. So now I have to set aside my identity and go back to my roots to reaffirm women, to let y'all know that we're not about to do that. And the moment I see a trans person trying to do that and say, oh, the people who mentioned, nah, we're not about to do it, because we're not doing that to the men. It sounds like misogyny. We don't say men that they're persons who ejaculate. We don't say persons who have boners. We don't do that. But why are we doing that to the women? Why? Oh, misogyny, okay. And this is primarily why the world does not take our community serious. Because we do shit like this. We do shit that literally does not make sense and does not even remotely align with what we were originally trying to do. And so that's why I'm like, nah, I don't associate with that. So if you don't like my message, I don't even care, because you're proving the world right about our community.
And he said what he said. You heard him, okay? At this point, it just is what it is. Ultimately, we have to be able to respect one another, and we have to be able to respect one another's space. It's just this constant war going on between us, and when there are so many things wrong within the world, within society, us arguing over pronouns and adjectives really seems silly when you think about the grand scheme of things. You feel me? So I just wanted to make this video to really kind of set the tone and start the conversation on how can we become a collective group of people who are trying to be better, who are trying to dismantle the patriarchy, okay? Because ultimately, I think that's what this all boils down to. That's why I make these videos, to really just start conversation around topics that affect the culture here. I really would love to see all of us be able to come together and create and make the world a better place. I know myself personally, I don't have children, but there are children being born into this world every day. The least we could do for these babies out here is to create a safe space for them to grow, especially in a world where there's so much violence and just corporate greed going on. It really seems stupid to be arguing about pronouns and adjectives. But that's all I got for this video, you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts in a comment down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and make sure that you are subscribed to my channel, okay? I'm dropping videos every day. I got shorts, I've got long form videos like this, so make sure that you are subscribed. I hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye.